Hello, fabulous friends, fans, and superstars. Welcome to Synchronicity Web TV. I am your host, Nadiya Shah, and this is your moment of synchronicity. Well, I'm so excited to celebrate with you today, Shelley Stearns. Now, Shelley is somebody that I know you've seen on my channel a whole bunch of times because I just love her as an astrologer. I first met her also online a couple of years back when she was a student at Kepler College, where I teach a class every summer. And that is a spiritual entrepreneurship, more business-oriented class. But she really shined very brightly within that setting. And then when she created her first video and I started watching her on Instagram, I just thought she was so brilliant. And I love and have loved watching her grow and shine and have more and more of an impact as we have gone along these last couple of years. Well, it is now that Shelley is coming to Synchronicity University as part of the May 2024 speaker series. You've got just a little time left to choose your tuition rate, as low as just $5 a class, an unheard of rate to learn from Shelley and this bunch of amazing astrologers. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to celebrating with you today. Somebody that, as I said, you've seen on my channel before, someone I'm so proud of, Shelley Stearns. Shelley, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Nadiya. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, I'm so excited that you're here as well. Like I said, I love you as an astrologer. We keep inviting you back because you're such an amazing astrologer. And I love, it really is interesting how you've called your the work that you do, your accounts, Astro Heart Coach. It really is that I can feel your heart when it is that you are delivering astrology and sharing astrology. And so why do you think you named your accounts and your work Astro Heart Coach?
Well, it's actually because of my work being more than just astrology. So I combine astrology. I do a lot of astrology and I really like to get into the details and kind of all that intellectual stuff. But also the heart stuff is I work with people and emotions and getting in touch with their emotions and feeling and like really not being afraid to feel as a secondary kind of thing, like that works with the astrology and their chart.
And so it's about tapping into the power of the heart as it is and using astrology to facilitate that.
Yeah, and there's an interplay between them, right? Like there's the intellect, the mind, and the heart. So there's just a lot you can do with both of those.
So
Like,
I know that the class you'll be teaching as part of the May 2024 speaker series is on the second house in astrology, which is about resources and money and so much more. So how do you see heart playing out in second house matters?
well, so the second house, I mean, as in everything in astrology, like it's always like really simple but more complicated, right? Like there's always like so many ways you can go with it. Um, I mean, the second house is your money, right? Your car, I mean, your book, like these material things that you can grasp onto, but it's also like self-esteem, self-worth. So these more abstract concepts that have a lot, that there's a lot of emotional work, like just being in touch with our emotions and not being afraid of our emotions that can help us to strengthen those things and to work through the things that have happened to us or that are just there that are challenging, because life is challenging sometimes. So, and the second house really, I think, shows some of those things, some of the positives and negatives that people can experience.
Yeah, and it's interesting how the second house really shows us how we might define prosperity. And
Mhm.
prosperity means different things to different people. And there's no point in having a type of prosperity that doesn't mean anything to you. But when you have the type that actually means something to you, wow, you look around and you see abundance everywhere.
Yeah, that's a really great point. Totally.
Yeah, and you can see that in the chart, right? Like I know that your class, you're going to focus on the sign on the cusp of the second house, and that can be incredibly revealing to understand what it is that prosperity is uniquely for you. I'll give you an example, my own chart, right? So I have Leo on the cusp of the second house. And so I know that I shared this with you because you were one of my students with
Mm.
Kepler College, the business course. But I have shared in the past that the first 7 years, so I've been a full-time astrologer for 7.5 years now. The first 7 years, I lived below the poverty line in Canada. And the thing was, I was just so determined to make my mark really in my own way, right? Like it really mattered to me for me to be authentically me, for me to put myself out there, to have my name mean something in whatever capacity it was supposed to, but in the world in some way. And that was so much more important than thinking about um, calculations and accounting and numbers and things. Like it's almost like the numbers and things didn't matter in comparison to what I was trying to do in a larger sense and with my vision. And it makes so much sense now with having Leo on the second house cusp. And it's so amazing. Like a speaker earlier today that I was interviewing, he said astrology is magic. And it is so interesting to consider how, especially with what you're going to be talking about, prosperity and second house matters, there is a way to tap into the magic that is indicated there in your chart for that as well.
Yeah, it is really magic. I mean, I think of I don't know if you've read Jeffrey Cornelius, The Moment of Astrology.
Of
But it just
course,
makes me
Jeffrey
think
Cornelius,
of
my
that.
my former professor, and
Okay.
and he is a. If ever there is a legend out there in astrology, it is him. So yes, the Moment of Astrology. I love that you mentioned that because it's one of those books that you may not necessarily know if you're a beginner, but once you care about astrology, you know who Jeffrey Cornelius is. You know that book. Okay, so yes, what were you going to say about the Moment of Astrology?
Well, I mean, just in a broad sense, kind of making a connection that about magic, divination, like the philosophy. I mean, you're if you're studying astrology, just getting into those kind of like those tangents about what does it mean or why is it even working, even if we can't really say why. Like, um, that there's something underneath it. It's not just this science thing, I guess. I don't see it as just a science thing, even though it can be very mathematical. Um, there's something deep there.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. There is something deep and deeper playing out there when we practice astrology. And it just like the chart and the houses of the chart speak to every area of life. Yeah, like the second house. I love that you're going to be focusing on that because understanding prosperity, especially in the world that we live in, is just such a wonderful way to tap into how astrology can empower people.
Yeah. And it is all about empowering, which is partly about seeing all the connections. When you start looking at the house and the ruler of the house, like when you look at the sign on the cusp, then like you said, Leo was your second house. So then the sun would be the the ruler of Leo. So then you would look like just think about what does the sun mean first when you're just starting to learn, like, what is the sun? Like it's this bright, shining object. It gives light to us. What is it in your chart? Well, it's part of that thing that you express that is your own personal light. And there's more to it, but like you can just look at those simple things and it says a lot. And then you can look at where is the sun in the chart? Like what house is that sun in? And that will give you more information. to connect to your second house. So
it's powerful to consider. Yeah, like you could continue to meditate on it and learn from it. To change course just a little bit, because the thing is, as we're recording this, the really hot take, the hot news right now in astrology is the fact that we are moving towards the conjunction of Jupiter and Uranus. So this conjunction happens once every like 15 years or so. It's always a big deal when it takes place. It's always in a different sign. It's happening in the energy of Taurus. So this is like one of these peak moments of not just the year of 2024, but it's an important moment for the decade as well because of how rare this celestial phenomenon is. So what have you been contemplating, considering talking about? Because I know you create a lot of content regularly. What is it that you understand of this conjunction?
well, like first and foremost, I think that, well, we have so much going on right now, and we've had so much going on for the past few years. And I think that being like having this energy, so Jupiter is about expansion, it expands everything it touches. And then Uranus is like the unexpected. It's the great awakener, it's change. So the excitement, like the positive side of that is we can really look at, wow, there's so much opportunity. There's so much that could come to us that we can create right now. And that conjunction is giving us just more opportunity. And but with that, like human beings, depending who we are, some of us more so than others, can be really resistant to change. Or we can have this idea about how we want things to look. Like, I want my future to look this way. I want it to be with this person or somebody who's like this or this job or whatever. We get so stuck on our fantasies, which fantasies are good. We need to fantasize, but we can't get attached to like all these small little details. So yeah, I have Virgo rising. So I do have this history of getting attached to details and getting stuck on details. So admitting that up front. But um uh, so this is the lesson for me too. Like it's just be open. And when something comes your way, just you don't have to take it. You just consider it. So don't feel pressured, but also don't not do something because it isn't what you thought it was going to be or what you thought you saw yourself doing, or even how you identify yourself, like your personality as. It could be, you can change. It can be really, really, truly amazing energy. And also, it's Taurus. So one of the things that I think of that is Taurus is the body and the earth and this sense of groundedness that we all kind of want when we're walking on this earth. And when we have that disrupted, when Uranus is in Taurus, those things are just not as obvious to us, or it's like earthquakes is the Uranus and Taurus thing. So taking the time, no matter what's happening in your life, to just breathe. Like, even if it's just a minute and you can just be like, okay, I'm not going to do anything except breathe right now. I know this sounds urgent, it sounds really important, and maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but taking the time to step back and just, okay, give me a moment, like feel my body, just feel yourself in your body and feel your feet on the ground Even take off your shoes if you have to, like get them dirty. Um, like really connect to the earth. And if you can take out any time off or whatever, just to go out in nature, be in nature, this is a really, really great thing to do.
Wow. And I hadn't made that nature connection because, yeah, it can be in nature now with this conjunction happening in Taurus that we just might have an epiphany where so much could change for us. That's like the perfect environment to tap into this conjunction.
Yeah, yeah. And this your body, like being present in your body, even if you can't get out in nature, just go into your backyard and get your feet a little dirty and just like put your hands together and feel yourself. Yeah.
So, since you're going to be teaching about the second house, let me ask you before we go, what if
Mhm.
somebody has this conjunction happening in their second house? How would you interpret that?
Oh, yeah. Um, well, of course it's going to vary by, so I'd want to look at their Venus, where their Venus is, and so what's happening also with their natal Venus. But uh, just think about all those things I just said, but try to transfer them to your resources. So we can think of that in that abstract sense of if we're dealing with self-worth, self-esteem, then letting yourself be open to those changes and just know, like, leaning into this, like, wow, I can do this, like I have this capability, and letting yourself be in that space. And as far as the just the more tangible things, just also like be on the one hand, you know, don't let me, my brain is like processing. So this could manifest in a couple ways. It could be like, okay, I'm going to have these things come to me. I'm going to see some material abundance. Or you could be like having money flow through your hands and like just like not really paying attention and letting things kind of go. So I think just going, I would go back to my advice before about pausing. Pause before you spend money, pause before you get hung up on something, but let yourself dream, like let yourself go for opportunity, but take that moment to just pause before you jump in.
Jump into perhaps very dramatic changes to what you're willing to do for money, how you make money, what is attracted to you in terms of opportunity. And I love what you said earlier. You said something to the effect of try not to judge it right away, like something sudden could come for all of us,
Mhm.
right? In at least one area of life, depending on where this conjunction falls in your chart, something sudden could come, and it'll be wise not to judge it on its face right away. It doesn't mean that you have to change your whole life, but yeah,
Right.
maybe consider it. Even if it feels jarring, it might just be a blessing in one way or another. Whether you say yes or no, either might be a blessing.
And sometimes, depending on what it is, you can consider it by moving into it a little bit and actually doing it a little bit before you say no to it.
Wow. Okay. So I think I get it. Like before you automatically just like as a reflex say no, you might want to try it out. Like whatever the opportunity is or the possibility is, you might want to get a little taste of it to see, or at least ask questions, be
Yeah.
inquisitive. And then before it is that you make some sort of a very final decision, especially considering that Mercury is retrograde. right? At
Right.
the time, Mercury's going to start stationing, but isn't going to go direct until the 25th. So, yeah, whatever pops up, it would be good to, if you can, take a little bit of a pause.
Yeah, just go in knowing that you don't have all the information yet.
Yeah, it's exciting to consider. I know it's one of those aspects that can change so many lives, in some cases very quickly and for the better. So I know in my own life, I'm really looking forward to it as well. But yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. But I would think that, I mean, I'm an Aquarius sun. I think life doesn't have nearly enough surprises. I love surprises. So I think for someone like me, yeah, it's like, bring it on. Ah, I can't wait. But maybe for someone else, like with someone with a Virgo rising, maybe it's a little different. What do you think?
Well, okay, I think for someone, yeah, but I love Uranus. I have Virgo rising and a Cancer sun, but I Uranus has always been good to me.
I love that.
Um, I, I mean, there's other things in my chart that probably say that, but yeah, I love Uranus. At least so far, Uranus has been really good. But I have seen it be very disruptive and not always positive in people's lives. Um, it can bring some jarring things for sure. So I don't
Yeah, I
want to be
can.
like all rosy about it.
I know, I know. I'm such a Sag moon, but I'm not Pollyanna. I do have an eighth house sun, so I get it. It can be jarring in ways that are uncomfortable, and yet the potential is exciting.
It is, it is. I think of like Richard Tarnas wanting to call Uranus Prometheus. So
I've been talking about that so much lately, but yeah, please
yeah,
go ahead.
yeah. So Richard Tarnas is this amazing astrologer who wrote this book, Cosmos and Psyche, that is all about the outer planets. It's a very intellectual, academic book, actually. Um, so it's all about the outer planets, and he goes into history and follows them. But he said that he would like for Uranus to be renamed Prometheus, which Prometheus is the person in, I'm not person. What was he exactly? He was a something, like not a god or he stole fire from the gods, um, and gave it to human beings. So this is Uranian energy. It's like the ability to make fire, the empowerment of human beings, like giving them godlike qualities. Like in a essence, Prometheus gave us all godlike qualities if we are to look at the myth. So
Wow. I didn't think of that before. Like, so Prometheus, in giving us fire, gave us godlike qualities. And actually, there's a lesser known book by Richard Tarnas that makes this argument that Uranus, actually, the astrological Uranus, more closely corresponds with the myth of Prometheus. And I reference that book a lot, especially lately with all this incredible energy that's been
okay.
playing out for us. Yeah. And wow, I hadn't put it into that type of understanding before, but Prometheus in giving us fire made us more like the gods, and Uranus just might help us to do the same.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Uranus is it's an outer planet. It's one of those transpersonal planets, and I think it's kinder than like Pluto and Neptune in that way.
Yeah, because it's more about liberation.
Yeah.
Yeah, and your own divinity. So interesting. So interesting. Well, once again, everybody, Shelley is coming to Synchronicity University as part of the May 2024 speaker series. You can see here why I love her as an astrologer. She is profound and insightful and very heart-centered in the astrology and how she presents it. You've got just a little bit of time left to choose your tuition rate, as low as just $5 a class to learn from Shelley and these other brilliant astrologers as well. Shelley, thank you for being here once again. I'm so proud of you. I love how you've just taken the lessons and run with it and just are increasingly making yourself stand out as an astrologer with your online presence and so much more. So just so proud of you and thank you for being here.
Thank you for being here.
Well, you're amazing. And thank you everybody out there for watching. Until we connect again, take care. Bye.